The podcast September, we are dedicating to suicide awareness and prevention and having these hard conversations. So amazing to talk to Maddie today, who has been there and then is doing this great work now. I feel like there's so many aha moments in this podcast today that I feel like could really be helpful to people.
I think I just am feeling inspired. Like this young woman has come from a very dark place from the time she was 4 and told, and she was wronged by society. Let's just say at 4. And she's continued to persevere. She got through a near-death experience and she's here to tell you the story, and everybody's got to listen in. This is very important.
Yeah, she is a bright light and she's bringing that. So thank you to Maddie.
Yes.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marcy Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DeMano. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. We're always so grateful that you join us. Today, we're going to be speaking with Maddie Andrews, and she is a mental health advocate, a peer support specialist, and founder of J&E Support Group, MSW student, and a person living with serious mental illness. After a near-death experience in 2023, she dedicated her life to helping others heal. Her background's in education, and she received her bachelor's degree in special education from UNC Greensboro. And she currently attends the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where she's pursuing her master's degree in social work. Her passion is creating equitable, accessible, and affordable mental health services for everyone. And that is so important right now. So thank you so much, Maddie, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me and opening the conversation. This is an important topic.
Yes.
Oh boy, that might be the understatement of the planet right now.
Right.
But, for all the folks out there, Marcy and I have dedicated the month of September to suicide awareness. And we had this overwhelming response of humans showing up to have this discussion. And Maddie was one of the first people who signed up to talk about it. So we're super grateful to you, Maddie. I have done a little bit of, background recon, I call it. And so, wow, I don't want to take up any more time. I just want to hear your story and how you came through this very difficult period in your life.
Definitely. Thank you for having me again. And yes, I am a lot of things. And part of my identity is that I do live with serious mental illness. And I began having these mental health symptoms when I was 4 years old. I had a very traumatic experience happen to me. I reached out to an adult for help who shut me down and told me I was bad and it was my fault. And so I didn't tell my parents, and I developed PTSD from this, but no one really understood what was happening to me. And then when I was in middle school, I started developing further symptoms of things like delusions, paranoia, hallucinations, depression, mania, rapid mood swings. And I had been stuck so long feeling like if I disclosed this type of situation that I would be in trouble. So I really didn't start beginning the evolution of disclosing until I was 14 years old. And even with that beginning of the conversation, I didn't get a final diagnosis till I was in my late 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long journey.
Yes.
It's such a shame. So many places where you were failed by people or by systems that could have made a difference. Yeah, I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Thanks. Kids only know what they know and they think everybody's the same. So when they come to you with something different or a traumatic experience, I just encourage you to listen and believe them.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
then,
go ahead, Debbie.
okay. I was just going to say, and so Maddie, like, so how many years ago was this? I don't want to make you say your age, but I'm sort of
That's okay.
thinking about the decades and the things that we've learned also since then, right?
Right. So I am 36 years young.
Okay,
Mhm.
lovely.
I didn't find mental health recovery until I was just turned 35 years old, or 34, 35-ish.
Wow.
Wow.
My initial diagnosis of OCD was when I was 14. When I was 16, it changed to mood disorder not otherwise specified, along with generalized anxiety. When I
Mhm.
Right.
was 19, I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder, but my final diagnosis is what's called schizoaffective bipolar type, PTSD,
Mm.
OCD, and generalized anxiety. And what that
Mhm.
means
Wow.
is I live with symptoms of both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
Holy cow. Holy
Yeah.
cow. And by the way, none of those systems were helping much. I mean, I don't want to give shout out to mental health for sure, but boy, we just did not know much about that. Marcy probably doesn't even know this, but I actually had a teenage child that was bipolar schizophrenic when I was in my 30s. He was in his teens. I was a young stepmom to this child, and wow, we just didn't know, and he was underage. So, we ended up sending him, away to somewhere where he could be more safe because he just kept running off. I heard you say you're a runner too.
I am a runner.
Yeah, he just kept running off because, of course, you're just looking for someone to understand you, and we were doing our best. I was married to a physician at the time, and he couldn't figure it out. And with all of the
Mm.
people and the resources that we had, we couldn't figure it out. So anyway, I don't want to give anybody any, like I said, any kudos for all that, but man, you're lucky to be here and to be alive right now, considering
Yes.
considering what you come through with the lack of knowledge that society has had until recently, right?
I didn't even hear the word schizoaffective until I was diagnosed. And before that, the word schizophrenia was very scary and
Yeah.
very taboo to me. And
Yes.
Right.
so when I was originally diagnosed with schizoaffective, it wasn't explained very well to me. They read me the DSM, and that was like this, I don't know what that
Right.
means.
Yeah, whatever.
And
I've had 20 different titles. Just lay it on, right?
and it was like
Yeah.
a lot of fear-provoking information, like, "You
Yes.
can't do this now. You can't do this now. Your life is forever changed." But the reality of it is, look at me today. I can do anything I want. Like, with the right
Yeah.
supports, you can do anything you
Yes.
want.
Right. And with mental health, well, with everything, we all have our challenges, we all have our strengths, and some, admittedly, some challenges are higher than others. But when you meet it with understanding and ways to help, there's always, if it's a ramp, if it's for a disability, if it's a ramp, or if it's, some sort of accommodation, people can do anything. And that's the thing, is to support people, to meet them where they are, to see them as individuals. And this idea of everybody has to just have the same help available, it doesn't work. You have to look at what is someone dealing with, and then find, and it can be very simple. If it's somebody on the spectrum, they might need a quiet space to take a test. So simple, so easy to do, but if you're so rigid about it,
Beautiful thing, isn't it?
it is.
Yes.
It is. Let's accommodate people. Like the idea that it's, I don't know, people get so, I just get weird ideas of special treatment, or like you have to do it like
Yeah.
everyone else. Why? None of us are the same. We're all
Yeah.
so different. What are some of the things that you've found, some of the tools and accommodations and ways that you're able to show up with this great attitude, knowing that you can do anything in the world?
When I was in undergrad, when I went back to undergrad, I really leaned heavily on the Office of Disability Services. So I did take my test in a separate room. I did have
But
someone helping me with notes, and I did have extended time in some cases. And, academically at that time in my life, I needed that. I don't necessarily use all that today in my master's program because I don't need those resources, but I have a lot of general everyday accommodations, and it starts with me, right? So like every night I go to bed with enough time to make sure I can relax and get adequate sleep,
yes,
because sleep is so vital for me. If I don't get adequate sleep, it's just asking for an episode with me. So
Yep.
yes,
that's my number one. And
Yep.
then my
so
mornings,
important.
Yeah, and my mornings and evenings, I
Yeah.
have a strict routine. So,
Mhm.
I can allow a little leeway, but having that predictability in my life really helps me. And things like an everyday, like being mindful is a huge player for me and living positively. Like when I was really unwell, I was a very negative person. It just seeped out of my
Mm,
pores.
Mm.
yeah.
And people saw me coming and were like, oh no, here comes Maddie. She's going to complain about something. But it's very much the opposite today, and I make a really big effort to make it that way. So
Mhm.
if I'm triggered or having an episode, I try to be mindful and live in the now and see the positive in it or think about the
Mm.
next step.
Wow.
Because if I'm going to live in the negative, then those negative symptoms are just going to be exacerbated.
Yeah.
Right. So true. So
Yeah.
true. Love
What,
your
what,
awareness. How
yeah.
you know what you need. You know you need that sleep. And I think,
Yeah.
probably well, everybody needs sleep, but you've realized that this is a key one for you. And then you've made those accommodations for yourself. Like you said, it starts with you. So that's fantastic. And then your morning routine, like these are how many of us are aware of what we need and then take a moment and say, okay, here's if I just live my life this way, then I'm going to be good. And it can take a while, but you got here in your 30s, which is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, recovery
It,
isn't a linear process. So
No.
no.
I'm going to have bumps in the road. That's just part of the
Yes.
game.
Yep.
We're all
Yes.
human and have bad days, but I try to make an effort to make more better days than bad days.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant, Maddie.
Well, and what she's saying sounds like so simplistic, right? Here she is with this big diagnosis, right?
Hmm.
Like most people can't even spell the diagnoses that you have, probably, including me. But what you're saying is some of the tools that Marcy and I teach to everyday kids. They don't have to have a big diagnosis. But by the way, if they don't start implementing some of those things that you're talking about, sleep, hydration, like all the things, they can end up in a pretty bad situation. So Marcy and I
Hmm.
really work on the preventative end of all of this. And
Yeah.
that's why we're so passionate about teaching some of the strategies that you have probably had to kind of figure out on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say more about how you did figure it. Like how did you
Yeah.
make this change? Was it was it in you talked about accommodations, but going from negative to more positive, figuring all these things out. What was that journey like for you and how did you do it?
It was challenging. Most of my 20s, I call it living to survive. I was
Yes.
just simply going through the motions. I couldn't process emotions. I was unmotivated. I was 420 pounds. And most of my 20s, I was extremely suicidal.
Yeah.
Mm.
And because of my OCD, it was a compulsive, all consuming thought for me. But then in my 30s, I faced death in the eyes. And when I was able to
Mm.
learn what happened to me and when I was able to say, okay, I've overcome this. And, I spent so much of my life feeling this way and now I'm faced with it. Let's make a
Yeah.
difference here.
Yeah.
So I just went into the world of asking for help and advocating and researching. And instead of just learning the skill and, okay, I know this exists, I implemented it in my everyday life, every waking
Mhm.
moment. I
Yeah.
had to make it was my job. It was my
Yeah.
full-time job to
Yeah.
take these
Wow.
skills and implement them.
Yeah. And by the
That's
way,
amazing.
I listened to, Maddie's story before, but she was giving narcotics at a very young age to help
Yes.
Mm.
treat her issues, right? So it wasn't exactly Maddie's fault what she was doing. Let's just talk about some of the medications that you were given during this time until
Right. So
recently.
I was introduced SSRIs at 14, which is another word for antidepressants. And then at 16, I was also given benzodiazepines. I always just
Mm.
call them benzos.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was given Xanax at 16, and to combat my anxiety. And then when I was 19 and hospitalized the first time, the big boy drugs came into play, and you're talking mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, and the side effects just became like I was in the hospital for a week, and I mean, I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't that overweight. But when I went to leave the hospital in a controlled environment where food is given to you, I could not put my jeans back on after a week.
Mm.
my vision, I didn't wear glasses then. All of a sudden, I needed glasses. And my doctor at the time, when I was released from the hospital, was big into medications and I was overly compliant. So, for most of my 20s and part of my 30s, I was on 10 to 15 maxed out medications. And you come in
Wow.
with a symptom and, oh, just add this one, just add this for this side effect. And it was this endless cycle of pills are the answer, pills are the answer, pills are the answer. And then in
Mm,
2023, she called me and was like, "Hey, there's a new drug." And I'm like, whatever. I mean, what
Right.
is one more?
Right.
And at this time, I was still living to survive. Like, I was not functional at all. And the difference with this drug is it doesn't block so much dopamine in your brain. Only, I want to say it's like 40 or 60% of your receptors are blocked. So I
Mhm.
started to process emotions and I started to feel
mm,
motivated and I started to feel life again. And I did so well that she reduced other medications. But when you live with schizoaffective disorder, you have to treat mania, psychosis, and depression. And she took me off my mania medication, and I ended up getting really sick. I had a major manic episode and a major psychotic episode. And, I was sober at the time, but part of her treatment was to reintroduce more benzos again. And I
mm.
did relapse, and when that didn't work, she upped a medication called lithium, and for those who don't know, lithium is a heavy metal used to treat bipolar disorder, but it can be dangerous if you don't check your levels. You have to check
Right.
how much lithium is in your body, your liver, your kidneys pretty routinely, and she added a whole new dose to the day, a sufficient dose, and didn't get blood work. And pretty quickly after that, I lost the ability to talk, swallow. I wasn't walking well. And I was in diapers. Like I wasn't functioning at all. And
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Core Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can sign up for it now and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Core Tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
Lifetime.
right.
Buy it once and we'll keep
Lifetime.
updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Core Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
And when I learned to read again and read my medical records and learned about my brain injury and learned what happened to me, this fire burned in my belly. And I was like, no more am I going to live this way. And here is where I'm going to change it.
Yes.
Yeah. I like how you said you were overly compliant.
Yes, I was.
Which, I mean, that makes sense. A lot of us, especially women, we are like, well, the doctor said to do this, so you do it. But
Not
yeah,
me.
obviously. Oh, yeah.
I'm not that person. I worked in
Yeah.
medicine, so I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I've lived in that space for 30 years, so I know when to say no. Most people just don't. They
Right.
take the doctor at their word. Like
Right.
90%
And
of
when,
humans do.
for most of us, we're like, I didn't go to medical school, but, and, you can have a really good experience. You can have a doctor who really listens and works with you, but obviously you can have a really bad experience. And man, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I love to see where you've landed. And again, I know, it's not all one and done, but you're on this road to recovery. You're empowered now. You're doing what you want for your good and finding your joy and your positive way forward to look at what's working for you. And I think that's such a great example for people to know that you can, because this is what Debbie and I talk all the time about the mindset. You do get, it's oversimplified to say it, but you get to choose what will you focus on. And once you get that and you understand it, and then you really apply it, like for what you're saying, you did the hard part. You made it a full-time job of choosing a better way for yourself, and you totally turned your life around. And that's an amazing example.
It definitely wasn't an overnight situation, and I
No.
definitely
No.
didn't do it alone.
No.
Like
Yeah,
I
talk
found
about that. Talk about
I
what help you had.
Right. So when I knew I needed a new doctor, obviously.
Okay.
Even though my speech was like super inhibited, I got on the phone and I begged for help. Who will give me a resource? And I found a new team of doctors, and part of their program is they had it's a therapeutic farm. It's like a day program where people with mental illness can go and, have art therapy, horticulture therapy,
Oh,
equestrian
I
therapy,
love
you name
that.
it. It was beautiful and it was free for me.
Where's
What?
So what I
this?
learned,
Yeah,
it was
where's this?
Yeah.
it was in Pittsboro, North Carolina. It's called Penny Lane
Mm.
Farm. It's
Oh,
run
that's
through
lovely.
UNC's Community Mental Health Center of Excellence, and it's a phenomenal resource. I want to redo it and bring it to other areas.
That's
I think the model is
wonderful.
great. But
Yes.
there I met people who, for the first time in my life, could say, I've been there, done that, and here's what I
Yeah.
did to get better. And,
Mm.
meeting other people like me, because at this point in my life, I had never met somebody like me.
Mm.
So I was a lot more receptive to what they had to say. So when the most impactful thing anybody ever said to me, probably in my whole life, was from a guy who worked there. He was the music therapist and a peer support specialist. And he said, after a major psychotic break, you are never the same. But,
Mm.
big but here, this is the chance to change your life into something you really want and be a better
Wow.
version of you. And I was
Wow.
just sobbing when he said that. And I was like, because I was searching for the old me so hard at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get back to work. I need to do all these things. But what I wasn't realizing and what he helped me realize was this was a moment of rebirth. I can make myself into
Yeah.
anything I want to be. And so when
Yeah.
they taught me skills, I took them home, man. Every morning was mindfulness, meditation,
Mm.
yoga. I started working out 2, 3 times a day. Like, I just, you know, working on any coping skill I possibly could. And
That
then
is
Wow.
amazing, Maddie. That's just so good. I'm
Uh,
just that whole idea, like you're not going back to
yeah.
something in the past. You're going forward. And what if this is the first day, this of something amazing and new, like
Yeah.
you can reinvent yourself.
That was an angel, right? Just
Yeah.
he's
showed up at the
amazing.
right time in the right place. I want to
Yeah.
know how you're using all of this knowledge and all of your experiences and now moving it forward. So you're sharing your experiences, your education, everything you've learned because you have this new company, right?
Right?
So talk about
So
that. Talk about that.
4 months after coming home, I had started becoming more transparent about my journey, and I was met with a lot of warmth, and I was
Mm.
like, "Why have I been silent all my life? Like, why is this a thing? Like, why
Yeah.
can't I express when I need help?" So I decided to change this, and I also decided that living with major or serious mental illness is a lonely journey. So I created J&E Support Group 4 months after coming home. It is a nonprofit that offers, both public speaking to educate and bring awareness, but we also offer free support groups to our community. And the
Mm.
first one we opened was a group for people with schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. It's a virtual group on Thursday nights. And the beauty of the things I do is that they're free because I believe mental health care should be equitable, affordable, and accessible. So
Yes.
I don't charge people for these services. Mental health care is expensive enough. And
Yes.
my goal with all of my groups, we have 3 now, are to build a healing community where people feel less alone. Because people did that for me. And I'm just trying to give back. And, I'm working on my MSW. I started that in January of this year at Carolina and Go Heals. And, you know, initially my idea was free therapy, free therapy. I can be a free therapist. I can get all
Yeah.
the grant funding in the world. But what I've learned along the way is that my voice is unique and my experiences make my voice special. And our policies and our programs are not where they need to be. So
No.
I'm very interested in being what's called a macro social worker. So I want to work on community engagement, policy change, community outreach, program development, funding development. Therapy is great, not knocking that, but the
Yeah.
bigger
Right.
picture is what's for me.
Yes. Man, you just nailed it. You just so nailed it.
Yeah.
Marcy and I have been doing this for a couple of years, and every time the same things come up around mental health, it's, well, stigma, which you essentially talked
Right.
about, all the stigma around it, and like nobody
Right.
talked about it, and like everyone sat alone with all of their illness.
Right.
But then the lack of support and help around the country, and then
Right.
we spoke with someone yesterday in New York who runs this huge program, but essentially they're pulling, counseling out of schools. Right? like we're going backwards, not forward. We're like, we've made
Yeah.
so much progress, but now to think that we're going backward, and boy, do we need people like you to show up, and who's someone who has
Yeah.
had experience in this system, and to be able to
Yeah.
tell your story. I mean, our institutions need to hear it. Our
Thank
administrators need to hear
you.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
It's definitely a fine line. Like some people tell me, don't share your story, and some people are like, oh yeah, do the outreach. But to me personally, like having a story to share makes me that much more credible because I've
Y-
been there, done that. Like I know what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. People need to trust you. People need to see themselves in you.
Yes.
And obviously there'll be others who are doing that same work, who other people are going to see themselves, but
Yeah.
creating these systems so that normalizing everybody getting mental health services. Everybody, like we all need it. We take care of our physical health. We wouldn't be like, "Oh, I don't need to go to the doctor ever." But mentally, we wait often or we shame, like you said, like Debbie was saying, we stigmatize, whereas it should just be part of a well-rounded human. And maybe that's therapy for some people. Maybe it's going to the farm for a day and just being in nature or floating in the ocean or putting your feet in the ground. Like there's lots of tools, and if you use them, then you can stay more centered and whole. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're going to need more. Sometimes you're going to go through something heavier and need more. But sometimes it's just, am I getting enough sleep? Do I have balance in my life? Am I eating food that supports my mental as well as my physical health? It's a complicated thing. And yet when you get awake and aware like you are, and you start to understand, well, this may not affect me, but this does. Like the sleep really affects me. Or if I don't drink enough water, I know I'm going to feel really bad. Or whatever your thing is. If I don't get out in nature once a week or a little bit every day. So that getting that awareness of what does your body and your mind need, and then giving it to yourself, taking care of yourself. So
It's
important.
what you put into your body is what you're going to get out, not just for your
Yeah.
physical health, but also your mental. So I do drink copious amounts of water. I don't eat sugar. I have one cup of
Mm,
coffee at 4 a.m. and that's it because sugar and caffeine are not good for me mentally.
yeah.
Yep.
And being in nature, adequate sunlight in the winter when I can't be in the sun, I have a
Yeah.
therapeutic sun lamp.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
I have to be cautious how much I use it, but it is an important part of my
Yep.
recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that probably the biggest part that was sort of unspoken here is that you are doing all this healing through your work, right?
Yes.
Like
Mm,
this purpose
purpose
that
work.
you've come up with and decided to do is what gets you out of bed every day. I'm pretty sure, right?
It is. People ask me, how do I do it all? And don't you need self-care? But this is my
Yeah.
self-care. Like
Yes.
when I can change someone's perspective or impact someone's recovery, that's all I need. Like
Yeah.
helping
Yes.
someone find the path to a better way of life is healing for me too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're in
Absolutely.
your light, when you're living your purpose, when you're in that purpose work, it changes everything.
That's why Marcy and I are here too. We do this podcast because it helps us with our own purpose
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
using our voices and being able to talk and learn from people like you. This feels like
Yeah.
this is our purpose, and
Me
this
and
is why we get up every day, right?
yeah.
I appreciate you creating the platform, right? We need to inspire, and the biggest part of advocacy, one of the biggest parts is lifting voices, and you guys are
Yeah.
doing just that. So you're doing great advocacy work by
Yeah.
developing this platform.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
been a
goodness.
huge benefit for us, the community we've created. And we said that when we started, but people all over the country, all over the world, other countries that are doing this good work and that just inspire us like you have today, hearing your story, seeing what you're doing. It lifts me to hear that. And that's just a ripple effect too.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Maddie. Thank you for
You're
showing up
welcome.
and all of this, for
Yeah.
sharing it.
And being
Of course.
vulnerable. That's not so easy, right?
It's not easy, but and I'm not always met with the warmth and compassion I want, but that's okay because if I can just know that one person hears me
Yep.
and feels less alone, then it was worth everything else that comes
Ain't
along
that the
with it.
truth?
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome
much,
and
Maddie.
thank you.
Keep up the good
Yeah.
work.
So, you know
Alright.
what? Before we go,
Yep.
so if people want to join your group, where do they go? How do they
Okay.
find you? How do they jump
Right.
on
So
that?
our online group is 6 o'clock East Coast time, and anyone is welcome. If you would like to join, visit our website, www.jesupport.org. But the quickest way to get in is to email me. My inbox is open to anybody, anytime. I try to check it as much as I can, and my email address is Maddie Andrews with an S at jesupport.org. And that's also listed on our website. Even if you don't want to join group, maybe you want to collaborate, maybe you have a like-minded mission, maybe you want to share your story. Like I'm open to all of it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. We're going to put those links and that information in the show notes too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, warrior moms. As we started this podcast, we had determined that part of what we were going to do is to create a community. So we have decided to take it to another level, and we have started our own Facebook community in addition to the Warrior Parent Podcast, and it's called
From Chaos to Calm, a sanctuary for moms. Here's what it looks like. It's on Facebook right now. Please go and join it. And just to let you know, we're going to create our Blue Sky accounts right now. We're getting prepared as we watch this weird stuff go on in America. So we may be shifting the whole group to Blue Sky. Just be aware that we got you. You're going to start here. If this turns out to be not a safe place anymore on Facebook, then we will shift over. But what we're creating is a safe space where moms can show up and get information, get support, talk to each other about the things you're going through with your kids, the things you went through with your kids, maybe get some advice from moms, but also other experts. We're going to invite all of our guests and experts to join the group. I hope you will too. This is a place where you can show up and be seen and be heard and be safe. Mom's got you.
Nobody trusts anyone more than moms. So let's do this.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters.
Today's journaling prompt is, what I love about myself is. So get out your journal, get out a piece of paper, use your phone, and write those words. What I love about myself is, and then start writing, folks. Don't be modest. This is just for you. This is for you to acknowledge and feel gratitude for the things that you like about yourself. Start where you can, and I encourage you to keep adding and adding. Enjoy your journaling.
Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Core Experience, who also creates and distributes Core tools. You can find us at coreexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DeMano.
And I'm Marcy Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.